people in the house. So you see the topic is basically King Solomon and status and estate all gather in. We are now in the second edition. Okay. And it's been laws. Okay. Laws. Okay. Get. Gather in, my people. Gather in. Gather in. You are now rocking with the United States Private Enterprise Free State in on the check on. And this is another edition of Executorship, okay? Down from a King Solomon perspective, okay? So check it. Key Bible verses associated with King Solomon based on executorship, status, and estate. Now, it speaks directly to authority, executorship, stewardship, inheritance, dominion, judgment, and estate administration. So, the authority, status, and appointment, executorship by God, my people. Kings 2:12. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David, his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. Meaning, Solomon did not seize power. He sat in an appointed office. This reflects lawful succession, equivalent to an executor assuming office after the predecessor. So basically, you will sit in your appointed office when you reclaim your status as executor. Okay? Chronicles 28:5. And all sons he hath chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the king of the Lord over Israel. Meaning, executorship by selection and appointment, not by popularity. Authority flows from designation, not force. So, my people, gather in. Glad to see everybody. What's up? Maskia, Maskai, peace, one, love. Check it. So, Kings 2:12. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David, his father, and his king was established greatly. Meaning, Solomon did not seize power. He sat in an appointed office. This reflects lawful succession, equivalent to an executor assuming office after the predecessor. Okay? Chronicles 28:5. And all my sons he hath chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Lord over Israel. Meaning, executorship is by selection and appointment, not by popularity. Authority flows from the designation, not force, my people. Now, judgment, equity, and administration of the estate. Kings 3:9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, thy so great a people? Meaning, Solomon asked for capacity to judge. This is the heart of equity, jurisdiction, the same jurisdiction used in estate and trust administration. Kings 3:28. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment, meaning judgment establishes recognition of authority. Once judgment is exercised properly, status is acknowledged. So once judgment is exercised properly, status is acknowledged. Stewardship, trust, and estate management, my people. King 4, verse 7. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals, victuals, victuals for the king and his household. Remember, household is the estate, meaning Solomon delegated authority, agents under an executor. This is classic trust administration. Ecclesiastes 2, verse 18 through 19. Yea, I hated all my labor, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. Meaning, this is a direct statement of estate succession. Solomon recognized property, labor, and wealth as part of an estate passed forward. Dominion, control, and keys authority over realms, my people. Proverbs 8, verses 15 through 16, attributed to Solomon. By me, king reign and princes decree justice. By me, princes rule and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. Meaning, authority to rule and judge comes by wisdom. Wisdom functions as a key granting jurisdiction. You must have wisdom to rule. Ecclesiastic, we're going into Ecclesiastes 8, verse 4. Where the word of a king is, there is power. And who may say unto him, what doest thou? Meaning, a lawful executor's word carries force. Once status is established, actions are not questioned without cause. Okay? A lawful executor's word carries force. Once status is established, actions are not questioned without cause. So when you become the executor of your estate and you send out your executor letters of cease and desist because the executor has now taken the office and the seat, the ball game changes. You can now get debts reduced. You can get debts eliminated from the record just by being the executor. But you have to know how to govern your estate as the executor. And I have proof of all of this. Get into the class 407-300-5377. Inheritance, estate, and beneficiary principles, my people. Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children. Inheritance is intentional and multi-generational, a core principle of estate law. You leave it for your generation, after that generation, after that generation, after that generation. That is what this birth certificate is about. We're going to get into that, and I'm going to show you some stuff that you're going to be like, yo, I got to get into this class. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 19. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, this is the gift of God. Meaning, wealth is held in trust, not ownership without accountability. You have to put it on the record, not ownership without accountability. Record, you must create the record, accountability to show the ownership and control of the trust, and the property within it. Seals, decrees, and binding authority. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in to them to do evil. Let's read it again, my people. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil, meaning failure to execute judgment weakens authority. This directly supports timely executorship action. So, you have a certain amount of days when you take that office to give in your paperwork to certain people. Solomon, okay? Set me as a seal upon thy heart, as a seal upon thy arm, meaning a seal represents binding authority and ownership, spiritual and legal. You see, my people, executorship is appointed. Authority flows from wisdom and jurisdiction. Judgment equals recognition of status. Estate and inheritance are real and intentional. Seals bind words into force. Failure to execute weakens dominion. Okay, so basically, Solomon was not just a king, he was an executor of a divine estate. So you have a divine estate, my people. It's a divine estate, okay? You biblically grounded executor declaration. So biblically ground yourself in with that executor declaration. You know what I'm saying? Seal it with your language. You know, base it off your affidavits. Everything is an affidavit for the living man and woman. Now, my people, you know, the birth certificate, you know, is something really, really deep because that was a seal. The seal is the signature. So if your mother never signed the birth certificate and it was the doctors that signed the birth certificate and the registrar that signed the birth certificate, it was their seal. A seal is ownership. So what are you going to do to get out of their ownership? You got to get into this class. 407-300-5377. Get into this executorship class, my people. That's what you got to do. You got to get into this class. Once you get into this class, it's a wrap. I'm telling you, it's a wrap, my people. Now, I'm going to drop you a little bit of science here. You can cash app R $ capital R lowercase UBIE capital WILKIE, because you know I'm giving you the knowledge hands down based upon this Bible, something that you do need to know because you're going to have to use this in your own standing when you stand before the court. Because all roads lead to court. That's the bottom line. You know, all roads lead to Rome, and Rome is court, straight up. So let's go into divine union, the soul and the creator. You know, the woman, The bride represents the soul, the inner self, the divine feminine principle. The man, the bridegroom, represents the creator, spiritual authority, the divine masculine principle. Their intimacy is symbolizes union, alignment, wholeness, completion. So you have a left and you have a right. You have a female, you have a male. You have all that in one body. So you're both. Now, the identity, okay, you are altogether beautiful. My love, there is no flaw in you. Okay. This is coded spiritual affirmation. You were created whole. You are not the straw man. You are not property. You are a divine being of worth and authority. It restores the living man and woman to their rightful identity, not the legal fiction. The legal fiction is the ens legis, the straw man. That is what you're controlling. The birth certificate, that's the ens legis. That's the four corner paper. That's what you have to control. Now, toward the end, okay, set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. The line is saying divine authority, protection, signature, ownership of self, bond between soul and creator. Okay? The seal is your claim. The seal is a signature. You didn't sign the birth certificate. The claim is against, so it's a counterclaim that you have to do because the seal is the doctor's seal. The seal is the state seal. The seal is the registrar's seal. It's not your seal. The heart is your living status. The arm is your action and authority. So your arm, what you do, that's your power. This is why the seal of Solomon is invoked in the spiritual governance and personal sovereignty documents. Solomon is a powerful, okay? Now, a garden enclosed in my sister, my spouse. The garden represents your estate, your fertile inner world, your creative power, your rights, fruits, and inheritance. A garden enclosed means protected, not public, not owned by another, under private jurisdiction. Exactly like your living estate. Express trust. Now, return, O Shulamite. Return, O Shulamite. Shulamite is the feminine form of Solomon, meaning you are the reflection of divine wisdom. You contain the authority within. You are the rightful heir. This is powerful identity statement. The power of the living woman. Many passages declare the strength and purity of the woman, for love is strong as death. Its flames are flames of fire. Symbolically, the living woman cannot be extinguished. Her essence cannot be claimed by another. The state creation fiction cannot override her sovereignty. So the living woman on land, not ens legis entity. The living woman is on land. The ens legis is, locked behind some corporation in a desk, a vault, piece of paper, that they use to monetize everything you do. So, basically you have to integrating your name, birth details, and estate authority. You have to start to integrate. You have to give written in your voice as the living woman or man. You know what I'm saying? You have to custom the framework of your paperwork, your seal. Your seal is your signature. Your seal is the artwork, your stamp. You know, you got to get with it. Um, what else we got here for y'all? Because people got to really wake up. Um, well, my people, you got to get into the class because the class is dropping a whole lot more than what I'm talking about right now. This is the United States Private Enterprise Free State. The class is a $75 class. It's a 2-hour class. It comes with all the templates, all the laws, everything that you need to govern your estate and be the executor. Come in, take power, do what you got to do. Straight up. Now, you're going to need a lot of customized affidavits. You're going to need them OIDs. You're going to need them payment coupons. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need them endorsement stamps. You're going to need all the instructions, you know, IRS, EFTPS, Treasury, everything. You're going to need a lot. You know, you need a lot, my people. You need a lot for the process. So the process is only for the strong. You're going to go through some stuff. You know, hearsay is hearsay, but the ones that are really doing the work, they know. So basically, authority is the theme, meaning commanding spirits establishing dominion as above, so below. Seals and sigils, drawn symbols to bind, banish, control specific energies or spirits. Names of God, sacred names like El, Adonai, and a whole bunch of other names. You got the purity and the ritual, requires strict preparation, cleansing, you know, consecration, fasting to maintain bright intention. You got contracts and oaths. Spirits are bound by oaths. These reflect the legal ideal of contracts and trusts. Circle and compass used for the protection and control symbolic of one's jurisdiction or boundary. Minor, a mirror of law, y'all. What is done in spirit reflects in law. The entire key is a spiritual deed of authority. So you see, King Solomon had authority over unseen forces, just as sovereign and trust law describes how to take authority over unseen legal fictions. So you have to study a lot to get through these doors because the doors are found within these corporations, and there's only 4 major corporations that you're going to deal with when status correcting. So, you know, you're going to have to either take this class or find a way to do it yourself. But you're going to have to get with people that have already done it. And I'm one that's already have done it. So, you know, I got that key and I can help you. 407 300 5377. That's the United States Private Enterprise Free State, my people. Us peeps. We keeping it real. We keeping it stable. I just dropped a whole bunch of science for you. You know, I dropped the whole willy boat for you. So, my people, I'm about to be out. This was one. Stay up, stay one, stay strong, and I am out.